Hi, my name is Michal and I drive a Porsche 911 992 GT3 Touring manual. I've been in love with cars since I was a child, pretty much, and I have this suspicion that actually this kind of lifetime hobby courses through my blood, because all my grandfathers actually were very into cars, my dad as well, and also my mother. And a lot of my memories from childhood are actually about driving sports cars and coupes with me in the backseat and my mom driving. You can actually see that growing up in 90s in Czech Republic, these were mostly like humble sports cars and coupes, but you get the idea that you get infected with love for cars very easily. Porsche is not the only brand I loved. I got a soft spot for the Italians as well, but you know, there was something very special about the 911, and maybe it's a family thing as well, because you know, my father and grandfather before the Velvet Revolution, they used to have a lot of Skodas 110 and Skoda Rapid and Garde, which you may or may not know, but it was called the Porsche of the East, because it's a coupe with engine in the rear, and it somehow resembles a 911. And you know, the 911 was a topic in my family, that our collective dream that one day, if we're gonna make it, we're gonna have a 911 in our garage. It was like that for my father, and it was like that for me as well. When I was 18, I started my first business, and I was very fortunate that it started paying off quite soon, and I was able to exit my business when I was 22, and I started to choose my car. I was so heavily into cars that, you know, having read pretty much everything like Top Gear magazine, Evo, you know, and also some local sources, I was very familiar pretty much with every car which was on the market, but still I had to make sure that when I touch the car, when I try the car, try the driving and all the sensations, that the 911 is still the one, I would say. So I also tried, like, you know, BMW M4, Jaguar F-Type, Audi R8, which was also in the price range for my first 911, which was actually a 997 Carrera 4. But you know, you can imagine that when I first stepped into a 911, it was kind of a different world, and I was adamant that that is the car for me. Actually, how I got the car is kind of a funny story, because you know, I was just skimming through all the adverts and online sources for a 911 to buy, and I viewed dozens of them, dozens, but most of the cars were very, you know, not very well maintained, I would say even under-maintained, like crashed in the past. It was very, very difficult to find a car, like I would say for me, like in a good condition. And then I came across one advert for a car, and there was only one picture of a car, and it's tanned pretty much in a field, like in a puddle. There was mud everywhere, and the car was kind of dirty on the picture. And I was like, well, I think this could be a scam, but you know, I have seen pretty much everything, so let's try it. So I phoned the guy, and it seemed legit, because my call was answered and we talked. And then I went to view the car, and I saw the car with my eyes, and it was completely legit. And the car was actually beautiful under the outside, which was not washed or like properly prepared, but the car was in an amazing condition, and I got the suspicion, even from further discussion with the owner, that he kind of did not want to sell the car, and maybe it was at the back of his mind that when the advert is not very well looking, he wouldn't you know, sell it, which he was kind of pushed by his family, and it's gonna happen you know, in the way he imagined it could. But surprise, surprise, I came up and saw that the car is very nice, and I actually bought my first 911. For me, the idea when I fell into this rabbit hole of Porsche was a little tribute to one of the most legendary cars in Porsche history, which is a 1972 2.7 RS, which quite you know, pretty much I think every car enthusiast know. There were some legendary colorways, and one of them was this white with red stripe, which I also like because these are kind of Czech Bohemian national colors. So this was pretty much deal done for me, and it went quite well together with the steel brakes, which are notably like with red calipers, red stripe, and some details like stitching inside the interior. Other thing being, I wanted to feel the car, to give me the most of the sensations of being connected with the car, all the vibrations, and you know, being interactive as possible, most interactive as possible. So I went for a manual, therefore. Also, when you opt for a manual with a GT3 Touring, at least 992.1, you don't get an electronic limited slip differential, you get a completely analog one, which was also an upside for me, because, as I said, I wanted something which resembles an analog car in a way, I would say, like old school, even though it's a very technical car with the rear axle steering and many more features. It's definitely on the very edge of technology, but being a manual, being a naturally aspirated 510 horsepower car, rear-wheel drive only, it also brings all these sensations of the world of old, and kind of, to me, resembles this kind of legendary cars. So there's the story behind this, and as I said, I chose the Touring because I actually love, and this is also which is connected to the spec. Even though it pays tributes to legendary colors of old, it's kind of under the radar. It's not really shouty, and with this car I also opted for the comfort seats, not the bucket ones, because I was quite sure after the GT4 that I want to enjoy this car as much as possible. Quite understandably, I think, not in snow, but most of the time when I can drive on these Cup 2 tires, I drive the GT3. I go to work with that. I went to a lot of business meetings. I went to Le Mans this year and to Lake Como, like, you know, all around Europe, like pretty much any possibility there is, I take this car. This was my wedding car. It was kind of a cross in between cars and coffee and a wedding, because, as I said, I think the best things about cars, don't matter if you have a GT3 or you have a 80s Fiat Panda or you love your MG Spider, whatever. I think which is the best thing, the nicest, and you enjoy the most is the people around cars and the shared love of cars. Cars definitely unite people, and you know, one of the pinnacles of this was at my wedding, when me and my friends, mostly friends with cars, you know, sharing this passion, we parked all the cars at not far from where the actual wedding take place. They were to be seen from the wedding reception, and we just had a great time. Driving was for me definitely a big part of my life, definitely a hobby which right now occupies a big part of all my everyday, of my complete life, because thanks all of this I also got into some events with cars. I also started my own podcast with my friend here in Czech Republic, which gained some traction, but the driving itself still for me, I would say it's a kind of a therapy, because in your life, and especially if you lead a fast life, if you want to accomplish something, a lot of things happen. Some good things and definitely some bad things. There is a lot of lows in your life, especially when, as I said, you try to make the best of every day. But when I'm behind the wheel and I drive a car, and an amazing car like this, fortunately, it feels like everything disappears for the moment. All of your thoughts clear for a moment, and then you feel what the car is telling you, and you feel your environment, you admire what's around you and how the car behaves, and in that moment you definitely live in that moment, and all the nuisance of other world for a moment disappear, and then for me is a kind of relief and a kind of therapy, and something which brings the energy back.